Hello, everyone, and welcome to the third lecture for the AP Spanish series on Peer Tutoring Club. I am Nayeon Kim, and today we are going to go over the cultural comparison part of the exam. This is the FRQ portion, and it is one of the two oral parts. And here, basically, you will have 1 minute to read the direction of the task, and then you have to prepare your answer that will be recorded later. So let's go over this PDF that talks about the language, Spanish language and culture for your response, cultural comparison. So you have 1 minute to read the directions for this task. You will make an oral presentation on a specific topic to your class. So this is like not the class, it will be in the exam day, it will be through a radio. You will have 4 minutes to read the presentation topic and prepare your presentation. Then you will have 2 minutes to record your presentation. So you will have 4 minutes to brainstorm about your prompt and about what you want to say. And then you will have 2 minutes to record what you're saying. And then in your presentation, compare aspects of your own community to that of an area of the Spanish-speaking world with which you are familiar. You should demonstrate your understanding of cultural features of the Spanish-speaking world. You should also organize your presentation clearly. So for this one tip that I could give is that it is really important to brainstorm ideas well when you have those 4 minutes, because you are not gonna write a whole paragraph that you're going to like read off of, because you don't have that much time. So you have to like clearly state and write down ideas in a really clear and organized way so that when you say it, you don't trip. So we will do that together. And then you will now begin this task, and this is the tema. Tema curricular, las familias y las comunidades, which is Unit 1. It says, tema de la presentación. ¿Cuál es la importancia de las redes sociales en el mundo actual y de qué manera lo están transformando? Compara y contrasta los beneficios que ofrecen una red social que utilizas regularmente con los de alguna de las redes sociales del mundo hispanohablantes mencionadas en tu clase de español. So, let's copy this and let's go right to a Google Doc. So the first thing you have to have in mind is that no matter how good you're going to write or talk about your topic, the most important thing is that it has to be related to the topic, not even related, like spot on the topic that it asks you. So you have to spend some time and understand if your answer is related to the topic, because that is the main thing that they will assess. So, ¿cuál es la importancia de las redes sociales en el mundo actual y de qué manera lo están transformando? What is the question? The question is, what is the importance of social media in our world right now? And how are these changing this world? So this is like translated to English, if you say. So then basically what we're going to do is that we're going to definitely brainstorm. So I'm gonna divide it. This is how I do it. I'm going to divide it in Spanish speaking country and my own nation slash culture, which in this case is Korea. So let's do like bullet points, basically like this. And here I'm just gonna go with some bullet points like this. First one, the first thing is, okay, what is the importance of social media in our world right now and how are these changing? Okay, and then you will have these two segments, but you also have a general one, because you will need to open your presentation and you will also need to conclude it. So general view on the topic. And here I'm going to brainstorm that what is the importance? Importance is communication, news, travel, what else? Fast spread of ideas, globalization, interconnected, oh my God, interconnection between countries. I am writing it in English right now so that you can have a vague idea of what I'm going to write. But then, of course, in the exam, you will have to write it in Spanish. So let's also write it in Spanish. So, comunicación, noticias, rápido, how can we say this? Rápido, wait, let's leave that for now. Oh my God, grammar. Globalización, and then ser conectados, conectados. And then the fast spread of ideas. I think this is like related to news travel. So we're gonna cut it like this. And here I can say noticias se let's formulate this so that we can make one bullet point as two. So in this case, we will have noticias se pueden llegar a la gente rápidamente. So this is the general view of what the importance is and how are these changing the world. We can also say it like this. So now, Spanish-speaking country. For this part, it is really important that you do have a vague idea of what Spanish-speaking countries' culture are, because that is mainly the reason why AP Spanish is not only language but is also culture. So, for example, for this specific oral presentation, it's fine if you also have specific example of like certain organizations or anything that you know. As you might know, like you do not have access to the internet or any way that you could research any of these topics. So it's fine if you don't source anything, just anything that you know in that precise moment. So, for example, one thing that is related to social media, in Spanish-speaking countries, I think that TikTok y otras redes sociales son muy populares entre niños. Hay muchos influencers jóvenes que son la cara de muchos brands. Entonces, un modo de marketing. Por ejemplo, sí, por ejemplo, influencers como Timmy, esto hacer promociones de brands. In my own culture, limitaciones del uso de las redes sociales, porque el gobierno usa los datos y censura contenido contenido no apropiado. Y los influencers tienen, son más viejos y porque la cultura se, se, la cultura es diferente y so you have to brainstorm a lot about your own culture and how it differs. And then you can also talk about the similarities, but the similarities, I think that is here. The general view on the topic is the reason why we don't really necessarily think about the similarities while we brainstorm. So I will just finish writing this bullet point and I will tell you how I would present my topic with these notes that I've taken. Son más viejos porque la cultura es diferente y es importante la gente sea creíble. Okay, what I wrote down for Spanish-speaking country is that TikTok and other platforms of social media are really popular, like entre niños. And then I said that they have lots of influencers that are young, that are the face of new brands and famous brands. And then I also said that this is a marketing strategy in Spanish-speaking countries. And an example is Tinis Toesil, which is a singer, and she does a lot of promotions of brands. And then for my own culture, so Korea, I said that there are limitations with the use of the social media because the government restricts the data, like they see the data and restricts the content that is not really good for minors, or yeah, so that is not really appropriate for kids. And then the influencers also they're older in general because our culture is really different, and they say that it is really important that a person has credibility and is actually authentic and genuine. So we need a lot of like history that shows that this person is actually credible. So that's what I said. And the general view on the topic is while we brainstorm together. So this was definitely over 4 minutes, but that's because I wrote whole sentences to show you what I meant by brainstorming. But if I was you, for example, for this one, I'll just say TikTok niños. Así. I'll just say it like I did like this way. And this one is fine. For this one, I'll just say influencers brand in the actual exam. So like this, so that I actually can use the 4 minutes properly. So now let's try the cultural presentation. Let's try to see how we would organize our oral presentation. I will show you how I would do it, and then I will tell you some tricks that I used in order to present my presentation. So, yo creo que las redes sociales son muy importantes en las generaciones de hoy porque son muy populares entre niños y entre jóvenes y adultos. Generalmente, yo creo que las redes sociales son buenas porque puedes comunicar con mucha gente en poco tiempo y rápidamente, y puedes ganar noticias y puedes llegarlas a la gente rápidamente. Otra cosa es que ayuda a la globalización y ayuda también a ser conectados con otros países. Eso es el tópico que veo generalmente, pero yo creo que puedes buscar muchas diferencias entre Corea, que es mi país, y otros países que son hispanohablantes. Por ejemplo, en países hispanohablantes, yo creo que TikTok y otras redes sociales son muy populares entre niños, y por eso hay muchos influencers jóvenes que son la cara de muchos brands famosos. Y por eso las redes sociales son usadas como un modo de marketing. Pero, eso es muy diferente en el caso de mi país, porque en mi país tienes limitaciones del uso de las redes sociales, porque el gobierno usa los datos y censura contenido no apropiado. Entonces los influencers son más viejos porque la cultura es diferente y es importante que la gente sea creíble. Entonces, la gente en Corea piensa que es muy importante que la gente que va a promover brand sea creíble y tenga mucha historia pasada, que no sea, que no va a ser negativamente una influencia negativa. Un ejemplo, por ejemplo, por los países hispanohablantes, es Tinisto Este. Ella es una influencer y una cantante y una actriz muy famosa y ella entonces promueve muchos brands en su país. Y, por ejemplo, en Corea puedes ver a personas como Kung Yu, que son actores que son no son muy jóvenes porque él tiene 45 años, 50 y por eso él ah, promueve mucho brands en respecto a otras personas más jóvenes. That's it. That's what I would say. So basically what I did is I opened with a general statement about what I think about the topic and what about like not just like country specific, but like generally. And then I am going to talk about the differences between Spanish speaking country and my own country, and I give examples of both. So this is the first lecture of the culture comparison. This is, I believe, one of the most the hardest parts of the actual exam because you have no idea of what the topic will be, so you have to improvise at the moment where you're taking the test. So it is important that you have a lot of vocabulary so that you don't trip, and also that you know a lot about the culture. I'm not worried about your own culture because you have lots of ideas about your own, but then it is difficult to implement them and think about how these differentiate with a Spanish speaking country, which is the hardest part, I believe. So in order to improve in this aspect, I think that it is best for you to read lots of articles and catch up with Spanish speaking country news, which is what I do. Sometimes I just look at the news that is for like Spain or even Latin America, or even just like follow influencers that are Spanish, just so that you can just like see how their culture vary and how like their tone varies in with your audience. That is like actually really helpful because I believe that culture isn't like really learned, it is experienced. So as long as you have a vague idea of what your country, like how your country differs from Spanish speaking country, I think you won't have a problem, and you will also have to learn and memorize lots of vocabulary because that's how you will express your own ideas. So I think this is it for our first culture comparison. This prompt was actually really contemporary, so I believe that it isn't really hard compared to other topics that might come out. So I think that we could just stop for now and go over other topics in the following lectures. I hope you guys enjoyed and see you all in the next lecture. Bye.